Today on Florida Sportsman Best Boat, we're going to show you part 2 of the series on the fastest growing segment of the saltwater boat market, bay boats in the 24-foot to 27-foot class. Increased range, performance, and capacity best describe bay boats in the upper end of the class. The extra deck space enables several anglers to fish without feeling crowded, and when it's time to take the family out, you have enough room for the whole clan. Bay boats this size can float in less than a foot of water, yet provide the sea-keeping ability for some offshore fishing as well. Some key features to look for in this class of bay boats are: range is important if you're heading far into the backcountry or beyond the horizon offshore. This is where a large fuel capacity is invaluable. A large bow casting deck with enough room for multiple anglers to share at the same time. Insulated coolers and storage, built into the interior layout of the boat, allow you to keep your beverages cold without giving up deck space that an ice chest would take up. A recessed casting platform gives you the secure feeling of standing in the boat instead of on it. Comfortable helm seating allows you to fish longer with less fatigue at the end of the day. With the versatility of a bay boat, it's good to have ample rod and tackle storage as conditions and fishing locations change throughout the day. If your boat has to double as the family cruiser, your crew will really appreciate comfortable bow seating. Multiple live wells are important to keep different types of baits separated. A functional console design allows an unobstructed view while sitting or standing, and enough room for all your flush-mounted electronics. Join our hosts Dave East and Rick Riles as they feature 3 boats in part 2 of this series that can fish the flats for a tailing redfish, battle a tarpon at the inlet, or troll a weed line for dolphin, plus take the family to the sandbar. They are the Seabourn FX24, with an overall length of 23 feet 9 inches, a beam of 8 feet 6 inches, and max horsepower rating of 300. Nautic Star 244 XTS, with an overall length of 24 feet 6 inches, a beam of 8 feet 6 inches, and max horsepower rating of 300. And the Robalo 246 Cayman, with an overall length of 24 feet 6 inches, a beam of 9 feet, and max horsepower rating of 300. They'll be conducting test drives and reviewing key features, all to help you decide if this is the best boat for you.
Welcome to this episode of Best Boat. I'm Dave East, boating editor of Florida Sportsman Magazine.
And I'm Rick Riles, program director of Florida Sportsman Radio.
Okay, this is part 2 of our episode on 24-foot bay boats. And here again, the reason we brought 6 together is the bay boat industry is actually the largest segment of the saltwater boat market, and it's growing every day. And the 24-foot bay boat seems to be that sweet spot inside where all the bay boats are being built.
Well, it's what you and I both own for our personal boats, but the reason why we needed 6 of them, we need them for completely different reasons.
Well, if you look at these boats individually, you'll see that each one has a little bit different feature that may fit your lifestyle a little bit better. That's why we brought all 6 together, because even though they're very versatile, and we talk about that all the time, they do a lot of different things. Rick and I both own the same size boat for 2 totally different reasons. I do a lot of freshwater fishing, but I also want to be able to go to the Keys and I want to catch yellowtail.
Well, if you're a sissy bass fisherman, you need a completely different set of features than I do when I go fish for big fish in blue water. But we both know the size boat we need. They're laid out completely different, just like the 3 we've got today. They each do something very well. They're mission specific.
Well, what I like about them is they're easy to trailer and they're easy to launch. It's a one-man operation, or if you want to take 5 of your buddies, you have plenty of room to do that. And that's the versatility of a bay boat. You can fish freshwater, and it's not just for sissies. You just should try and fish one tournament with me. You couldn't hang. But you can take it in freshwater, you can take it in the river, you can take it offshore, you can take the kids to the sandbar, you can tube, I mean, it's just a very, very versatile boat, and that's why the bay boat industry has exploded. Well, we've got a Robalo, we've got a Nautic Star, and we have a Seabourn. We're going to walk through these 3 boats and show you the features that make them similar, but really separate them from each other.
Don't go away. We'll be right back with more Florida Sportsman Best Boat. This segment brought to you by Marine Customs Unlimited. You dream it, we build it. We do it all. Custom fiberglass repair, upholstery and canvas work, custom dash panels, specializing in insurance claims, Suzuki and Yamaha sales and service. We do it all. One-stop boat shop, home of fantastic plastics and the fiberglass shop. Welcome back to Florida Sportsman Best Boat. This week, we're featuring bay boats in the 24-foot to 27-foot class.
Okay, if you're looking for a bay boat that can tweak out every little bit of performance, you might want to check out the Seabourn FX24. It's a boat that has a double step in the hull.
That increases your range because it decreases your wetted surface.
Well, absolutely. Every time you make the hull more efficient, you're going to get a better fuel burn. This boat right now at cruise is getting over 4 miles to the gallon. And that's really, really hard to find in a 24-foot boat. But what that does is it lets you carry less fuel. You don't have to have an 80-gallon fuel tank or a 90-gallon fuel tank. There's no reason to carry all that weight. It's not necessary. In a full day efficient, you cannot possibly run all the fuel out of this boat. It's impossible.
And that should be the acid test. When you're going to pick the boat that has the right amount of fuel capacity for you, you think about how much can I burn in a day.
It is a boat, let's say you go down to the Keys. It is a boat that you can run out and chase dolphin and sailfish in the morning, come back in and make that run from Alamorada all the way out to Shark River if you want to, because you've got the hull that can handle the rough water and you've got the efficiency that can handle the range that you need. That's where a bay boat really, really shines. It enables you to do offshore, inshore, really anything you want to do with the boat.
You're right, and this boat speaks to me all set up for inshore fishing. It'll also do offshore, but it is set up perfectly. I can picture myself standing fly rodding on that bow casting platform. You're not going to find anything to snag your line on.
Well, let's look at some of the features that they've incorporated into the build of this boat, because I just love it. All right, I love the size of this front deck. Multiple anglers can get up here. If we're going to work along a mangrove shoreline and we're going to be flipping live baits up for snook, or if we're going to be bass fishing, or even if we're working a weed line offshore, a lot of room for both people to stand.
Oh, forget all that. This is a perfect fly caster's deck. It's level. There's nothing to get snagged on. I can see myself up here throwing it at mahi with a fly rod.
Well, you're standing on a huge rod box, and I've got one on my side too. But I like what they've done with the layout of the rod box. The rods are up high in the rod box. They lay on a little custom-built holder on the back. They have tubes going forward to protect your eyes, but you can store a lot of gear underneath it. So many rod boxes, the rods go in the bottom of the box, and they've eaten up all that other space. So you can't put anything on top of your rods, obviously. They've reversed that. They've let you put your rods up high where you can put all your tackle below.
These are laid out right, but I gotta show you the most exciting thing I've seen in built-in coolers in a boat in quite a while. Check this out. A Sea Freeze high-tech cooler with divider. That thing's not gonna eat your ice. You're gonna have ice for days in that thing. And let me tell you how smart that divider is. People don't think about it. Not only does it keep your sandwiches or whatever free from your drinks, but if you're not carrying a big crew, you put your drinks in there, half the ice.
Well, right to either side of it, the rod boxes we were talking about earlier, they're fully insulated. So let's just say you're going to take this boat offshore. You do catch a big dolphin or a big wahoo. If you remove the rods out of there, the little rod holder in the back lifts out. Now you've got a huge insulated fish box that can hold a real offshore fish.
All right, Dave, low profile, low windage. Makes it more efficient. It fits this boat to a T. And let me tell you something, they nailed it on this rocket launcher.
Oh, I like the design of it. It's easy to lean against. It's also very comfortable to sit in. But, you know, being a former boat builder, I pick boats apart as far as rigging and things that manufacturers do. I love the fact that this footrest here is removable. You can also remove a box in the front. You've got full access. To me, that's an important feature to look at any boat that's on the market.
Accessibility. How accessible are your systems is a key factor to look at. But with this, what I'm talking about with this rocket launcher, you're very comfortable using it as a rocket launcher, but now you're going to the other side of Biscayne Bay to look for a fish. That's no problem. Look at how comfortable you are with your seating, with your feet propped up here in a full seat to sit in.
Well, if you're going to use this boat inshore, you're going to be doing some live baiting. Let's work our way to the back casting deck and let's look at how they've laid out the live bait wells on this boat, because they did a great job.
Let me give you one of life's lessons, my boy. You gotta have separate live wells if you're gonna fish more than one kind of bait. You put your mud minnows in with your live shrimp, guess what you have when you get to your fishing spot?
What's that?
Mud minnows. They will chew the legs off of every one of your live shrimp. So you've gotta be able to separate them. They did it with this boat, 3 live wells to work with, all plumb, 2 32 quarts and an 80 quart.
Well, also they've incorporated into the rear deck a double hinge that I haven't seen before. Their stern seats, they flip up, they're nice and wide, but then the cushion flips up also, and it gives you really, really good access to all your systems.
You're right. Everything being right there accessible and dry is a huge factor. If you're considering a 24 bay boat, you better put this FX24 tournament from Seabourn on the list.
Don't go away. We'll be right back with more Florida Sportsman Best Boat. This segment brought to you by myfwc.com. Life jackets save lives.
Looks like he's having fun, doesn't it? All he can really do is hold on and enjoy the ride. He's not in control of where he goes. I am. And I'm not going to put him at risk by swinging him into boats or docks or anything else. That way we can keep having fun.
Welcome back to Florida Sportsman Best Boat. This week, we're featuring bay boats in the 24-foot to 27-foot class.
All right, now we're going to take a look at the Nautic Star 244 XTS. And you know, the first thing I noticed about this boat, it's got a feature that you normally only see on the offshore boats. It's got a single step in the hull.
It does, and of course that amounts to less wetted surface and gives you a little better performance, particularly at higher speeds. I saw a lot of things I like. This boat gives me the impression of coming offshore inshore. This one really speaks to me as an offshore fisherman. A lot of things I like, starting with the recessed platform up front. Makes you feel a lot more secure if it's rough offshore.
Well, let's get inside and look at some of these features that separates this boat from the other 5.
Let me tell you what I like, okay? You know what you and I are? Old guys, okay? Old guys really appreciate this recessed casting platform. Still plenty high enough, increases your visibility, great place to cast off of, but you don't get that uneasy, unstable feeling when you're offshore because you're all the way gunnel height. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You got all your storage, you got plenty of room to cast off of, but you're recessed enough to make you comfortable in a rough sea.
Well, you'd be surprised the difference it does make. I mean, just that little bit of an extra lip, if you want to call it, on the front, it just gives you a little bit more secure feeling.
I appreciate this recessed deck a lot, but I appreciate these long rod lockers on each side too.
You can bring all your outfits. Let's say we're going to do a little offshore, we're going to do a little inshore. Nothing has to stay home in the garage. Put your offshore stuff on this side, your inshore stuff on this side. That way, early in the morning, you bust the inlet, you go out, you chase sailfish, chase mahi. Sun gets up, you come back in, maybe you're going to catch, you know, snook or trout or whatever. You can carry all your gear.
Before we go aft, everything on a boat is space management, okay? You know how much I love the step up when you're actually stepping up on the platform. On this boat, you're stepping on a 30-gallon fish box, okay? You just left cast net storage, and you've got a 20-gallon live well behind you. It's called the proper use of space.
Okay, earlier you talked about this boat having the feel of an offshore boat, and you know what? It really, really does. I've got a lot of room to walk past this console, and then just the size of the console. It's tall, it's got a side entry where you can actually get a real head down here. This does have a feel of a much bigger boat than 24 feet.
Well, it does. It's got the room for a 12-inch screen, which, you know, generally you'll find on offshore boats, and it's got more freeboard than a lot of bay boats do. You know, everything's a compromise. Do you give up a little windage when you increase your freeboard? Well, maybe, but they managed to lower the deck without sacrificing fuel space. She still holds plenty of fuel.
Here again, it's got a lot of the features of a much larger offshore boat, but it's got the agility to get in that really, really shallow water.
You almost get that feeling with this boat that it came from the Gulf Stream to the flats. It's got the size screen you want for deep water fishing. It's got the freeboard, it's got the recessed bow platform we talked about, and a beautifully laid out console that you'll generally see on a much bigger boat.
Well, to match this big console, you've got a nice leaner bolster, and it can go either way. It can be a really comfortable seat, or you can flip the cushions up, and they put just enough of a bend in the cushion to make it a real bolster, so it kind of locks you in, and if you get in rough conditions, that can make a big difference.
Isn't it funny how the evolution of rocket launchers has happened? Now they're like sitting in your lazy boy, or in this case, standing up against a soft cushion while you run. That's a really nice feature, having a recess like that. I like that a lot. And boy, let me tell you, I'm the king of these high performance coolers. They put one under this one with a slide to pull it out. What a nice feature. It keeps your ice so much longer, your drinks are colder. You don't know why you like being on this boat so much, but that's one of the reasons you won't think about.
Well, just after this real comfortable seat, we got a nice casting deck. All right, as we step up here, I've got a really, really familiar feel because we've seen this on a lot of bay boats, and you know what? This layout just works great. You've got molded in flip-up seats in the back. If you're gonna take your family or additional anglers, this is a comfortable place for them to sit.
Flip-up seatings for 2 people back here, as you and I know, the most comfortable place to sit on the boat. A 37-gallon bait release well, if you will, in between them. Drink holders where they belong, the proper use of space.
Well, they've even taken their little areas in the back. You've got 2 storage areas on either side, port and starboard, and they have a little drop-in container that holds Plano boxes. So there again, you're gonna be rigging back here like if we're gonna fish this boat offshore or fish it inshore. It really doesn't matter. So It's a great place to have your tackle. It's out of the way, but if you need it, you can get to it fast. Your rods are stored right here. This is the most practical place to store all your tackle.
You said something there I don't want somebody to miss. No such thing as too many rod holders on a boat. They've got in-gunnel rod racks for maximum security when you're running, and you want your rods at the ready.
Well, if you're looking for a bay boat that can do a lot of offshore but also handle inshore, the Nautic Star 244 XTS may be the boat you're looking for.
Don't go away. We'll be right back with more Florida Sportsman Best Boat. This segment brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here.
Yamaha's next generation V6 four-strokes are changing the game.
Mid-range power was awesome.
Fuel, the burn, it's unbelievable.
Couldn't believe the speed and the fuel economy is pretty impressive.
I mean, I couldn't believe the power. It was like it was more like doing a quarter mile on a drag strip.
And them things are like, it's a whole nother game. So I made the switch.
Experience the difference for yourself during the Yamaha Discover V6 Offshore Demo Tour. See why we call it the Game Changer.
When filming for Florida Sportsman Best Boat, the cast and crew stayed at Pirates Cove Resort and Marina in Stuart, Florida. Family owned and operated, featuring 50 renovated rooms with an outstanding restaurant and a full-service 50-slip marina. Welcome back to Florida Sportsman Best Boat. This week, we're featuring bay boats in the 24-foot to 27-foot class.
Okay, now we're going to look at the Robalo 246 Cayman. And when I look at this bay boat, the only thing I can think of is it's the Swiss Army knife of bay boats.
It's got the offshore come and inshore part covered, plenty of freeboard, lots of offshore features. This boat's ready to fish.
Well, we're beaching a sandbar right now, and if you look at the bow layout and the way they've got the cushions that can make it a big sun deck, or you have bow seating, if you're going to take your family on this boat, which many people are going to do in a 24-foot bay boat, that's where they're going to spend all their time, and they made provisions for that. So if the fisherman wants to be happy offshore, the fisherman wants to be happy inshore, or if he's got to take the family out to the sandbar, they've got all the bases covered.
They do. This one actually screams family to me, maybe more than some of the others. There's that front forward seating like that, gives you room for additional passengers. This boat does a lot of things, but it can do it with more people than maybe some of the other 24s we've looked at.
Well, it can, because it's just the displacement of the boat. It's big. She's got a 9-foot beam, and it's very awesome. You don't find a 9-foot beam on a 24-foot boat, especially a bay boat. But this boat carries that very well. The shear line looks good. The size of the boat looks really good. Let's look at some of the features, what really sets this boat apart. All right, we talked about comfortable bow seating. When was the last time you saw a bay boat that was this comfortable and had this amount of cushions up in the front?
Hey, y'all bring me a Coke, will you? This is living high up here, isn't it?
Well, here again, if you're going to bring the family out, this is where they're going to want to sit. But if we're going to fish, they've also made provisions for that. Place to put my trolling motor and the seat up here on the front. I know you'd say that's a bass boat thing, but it's really not. If I'm going to move along one of these mangrove shorelines and throw a plug at a snook or something, that is so much more comfortable. Not only that, if a boat goes by and you get a wake, or if it's rough, having something you can lean against makes it much, much more stable.
It's, I love picking on you about them, but they're really very functional. I give you another thing that's functional right here too, is having the live well up here where you don't have to go to the back of the boat and get bait every time.
Well, we're sitting on 2 rod boxes, and I like the fact that they open the lids forward. It's a lot easier to come in from the back and feed it in than it is to try and get a side hatch that opens up this way. So they put a lot of thought into the way they've laid out this bow. They have a filler piece that can go in here. Now you've got a huge casting deck that 3 anglers can get up at one time, or you drop in the cushion. Now you have a great big sun deck for the family.
Well, you know I like this area here where it's raised and you can fish from it, but it's recessed so you don't feel unstable when you're up here. But Robalo's been at it a long time, Dave. My first boat I ever had was the 1971 Robalo. They've been around the block a few times.
Okay, we talked earlier about how this boat really has a lot of family features. Well, another one that I really like is this extra large console with a front opening door.
The truth is it makes for an awful lot of room. It makes it so much easier to get to your gear down here. The more access you've got to it, the better. I tell you another feature I really like they did. This screams big boat to me. Takes me back to my old charter boat mate days. You want to get from the front to the back in a hurry? Take the gunnel route. It's so easy to walk on these wider gunnels when you need to get to the back if you got a fish on. In fact, look at that school of bait. You can run back here, we throw the net right there. We'd be loaded for the day.
Well, back here on this casting platform, we've got 2 30-gallon live release wells, and there's another one in the front. This is the only bay boat that I know that has 3 30-gallon wells that can either be a live well or a release well. If you're going to tournament fish for redfish, or you need a lot of volume, one can double as a fish box, the other one could be a live well. It's a lot of room for water in this boat.
There is, and it's become so important. You can even take an IGFA record now, live, in a release well, get the proper measurements and everything back on dry land, and release the fish. It's almost become a necessity if you're a serious fisherman.
All right, you know what? Sometimes simple is just better. I love the way they've done the helm seat. It doesn't flip, it doesn't flop, it's stationary, but it's easy to lean against, it's easy to sit on. You don't have to worry about any hinges or anything like that. It's nice and clean, it just kind of fits the boat.
Very functional, gives you room for 4 more rods. But let me tell you, this console, we can call this console Goldilocks. We see some consoles that are so big, we can't walk past them. We see some that are so small, you can't put a big screen on. This one fits this boat the way it should.
Well, whether you're sitting down or obviously with your standing up, you can easily see over it. You don't have a lot of bow rise with this boat, so you're never going to lose your horizon. I think that's really important, especially in congested areas, or if you're running a channel that's really tight with mangroves on both sides or flats on both sides. You need to always be able to see out in front of the boat. Well, earlier one of the staff guys that are out here with us today called this boat a transformer, and really that describes it pretty well. It can handle the fishermen, it can handle the family, it's laid out really, really well. The Robalo Cayman series of boats, this one just kind of encompasses all the stuff that they've designed into their boats. I love this 246.
Clear the inlet at first light with the speed to beat the fleet out to a weed line and troll for dolphin. On the way back in, stop at the reef and drop baits for grouper and snapper. Back at the inlet, flip a jig to the jetties to see if the snook are holding there. Before heading back to the dock, drift the grass flats and try to pick up a trout or redfish. You'd be hard-pressed to find another boat that can adapt to changing conditions and locations as well as a bay boat can, and maybe the best boat for you.
Okay, this wraps up our 2-part series on bay boats, and hopefully we've helped you pick the right category of boat, which would be a bay boat, the right class of boat, which would be the size of the boat. These are all 24s. The reason we brought 6 of them together is to show you the differences between the boats.
Okay, you've decided you want a 24-foot boat. You've decided you want a bay boat. That's not enough. You've got to think about what you're going to use it for. Then pick the features that match how you're going to use the boat most of the time.
And that's what Best Boat is all about. So if you want more information on the 6 boats that you've seen today, or really all of the boats that we've tested in this season of Best Boat, go to our website, floridasportsman.com, go to the boating page, and click on the Best Boat link.
Or we'll see you next week on another episode of Florida Sportsman Best Boat.
Be sure to join us next week as we look at pontoon boats that are designed for use in saltwater on Florida Sportsman Best Boat. Each month, turn to Florida Sportsman for the best in boating and fishing coverage.